Hi guys, welcome. This is the astrology starting from November 1st to November 7th, 2021. Now in this video, I am going to start with the highlights of the week. Then I'm going to get into the details for each day of the week. And towards the end of the video, I'm going to pull a card for the week and sum up what this week might mean. And if you are someone who just wants to know the big picture and not want the details, then you can just skip towards the end of the video. I would recommend watching the highlights and then just the summary at the end. And this video is broken down into chapters, so you can just click on whatever you want to watch and just move to that part. Now let's start. Now this is, I think, one of the most important weeks in the astrology that we have seen in some time. We have a new moon in Scorpio. We have 4 planets direct on this new moon, which wasn't the case with the new moon last month on October 6th. So that is something special. And we also have Venus entering Capricorn, where it will retrograde by the end of the year. And we have Mercury entering Scorpio after staying in Libra for a long time. Mercury retrograded in Libra, so it's been there for a while, right? So this is the week where we will see a lot of shift taking place. And starting with November 4th, the new moon, things will really begin to change. Energies will really begin to shift. So we'll get into that. And now I am going to show you the charts. We'll start with Monday, and then we'll move through Monday, Tuesday, and through the week, and then I will close it out. So starting with Monday, I do want to mention that we come into this Monday with a very intense weekend, right? We had the Sun Saturn square on the weekend, and the moon was in Leo till Saturday on the weekend. So we went through a lot of intensity. And coming into Monday, we have the sun here at 9 degrees in a quincunx with Uranus, right? With Chiron, sorry. And this is an energy that can heal us in some way. So after all that intensity, perhaps on Monday at this point, we are beginning to heal in some strange way. I think the feeling is bittersweet, but there is a feeling of healing. And around the same time, at about 6 a.m. Pacific time, the moon here is trining Pluto. Pluto is renewal, it's regeneration. So our emotions went through a lot starting Thursday last week. And coming into this Monday, the basic energy is saying, okay, there's healing. There's healing in a bittersweet way, and there's also a renewal of sorts to our emotions. And this happens at about 6 a.m. Pacific time. If you are elsewhere in the world, you can always convert the Pacific time to your time zone. But this energy of moon trining Pluto is saying renewal of our emotions, transformation of our emotions. And it's not surprising because, like I said, the weekend was an intense one. So Monday starts off with this very powerful energy of healing, which might feel bittersweet. And moving on, we do have a stressful aspect at about 10 a.m. Pacific time. And what's happening here is that the moon in Virgo is in a square 90-degree angle with Venus. And this could be a moment where we don't feel the best about our projects or something in our relationships or romance, right? Because Venus is projects and relationships, and the moon is our emotions, and they're conflicting. They're conflicting. 90-degree angle is a conflict. So we must resolve that conflict. Either we resolve it in our emotions, or we resolve it when it comes to our projects or relationships, so that we can feel in alignment again, so that the conflict goes away. And this is 10 a.m. Pacific time. So we start off the day with healing, with the vibration of renewal in many ways after that intensity last week. But at 10 a.m. again, we are asked to change something, adjust something, so that we can overcome this conflict between our emotions and the relationships or projects that we're in. And towards the end of the day at 5 p.m. Pacific time, the moon's going to change signs. Now this is a shift, right? The moon in Virgo, which it has been since Saturday noon, was an energy about analyzing. Let's get organized. Okay, day to day, is my job okay? What about my health? Is that okay? Virgo is an energy that likes to work a lot, right? And it likes systems in many ways. It likes to plan. So when the moon is in Virgo, we focus on the day to day. We focus on our health. We focus on planning. We focus on getting organized. But the moon in Libra is different. Libra is a Venus ruled energy. It's all about relationships. And when the moon is in Libra, we focus a lot on relationships. So as the moon moves through the sign of Libra starting Monday at 5 p.m., the focus will shift from our day to day, from the mundane, from organizing to relationships. That's going to be the focus. And soon after it enters the sign of Libra at about 7 p.m. Pacific time, it is going to make a positive aspect, a trine with the North Node. The North Node is what we aspire towards. It's the future, it's our goals. So this moment here, there's a flow between our emotions and where we are headed. We're feeling good about what path we've chosen. So this is a positive energy. So to sum it up, I would say that Monday is primarily an energy of healing and recovering from the intensity that started on Thursday, and that's because the sun here will be in a quincunx with Chiron all day. So the whole day's overarching energy is a healing that might feel a little bittersweet. And in moments, we are asked to adjust things, resolve some conflicts. But by the evening on Monday, the focus will shift from the day to day, from organizing, from planning, from a very anxious, stressed energy to relationships, to finding balance. So that's Monday. And as we begin to close out Monday, Mercury here is going to start to square Pluto, right? We'll talk about this when I move the chart to Tuesday. So let's move to Tuesday, and after speaking about one aspect, we'll talk about the Mercury Pluto square. So what's happening on Tuesday? The first thing is that we have the moon here for him. The moon here in a trine with Saturn. Saturn is commitment, it's hard work, and the moon is our emotions, but this is positive. So what's happening here is that some commitments, some emotions are being defined, or we are making some commitments emotionally, perhaps connected to relationships in our lives. That's happening quite naturally. It doesn't feel stressed. It's not like, okay, no, you have to commit to this, you have to commit to this. No, it's like, I feel like committing to this. I feel like defining this in my life. I think I'm ready for it. That's the vibe. So this is a positive aspect, and this is early Tuesday morning, 4 a.m. So we begin the day with this feeling of feeling like, okay, I'm ready to, define my emotions, commit to them in certain ways. And this could very well be a relationship. And then, as this positivity is building, we have Mercury here in a square with Pluto. And those of you who've been watching me for some time know that Mercury retrograded from September 27th to October 18th. And when it started its retrograde, it started at about 25 degrees of Libra. And what it did was it squared Pluto and it trined Jupiter, right? And that theme of that retrograde from September 27th to October 18th was about transformation, transforming our thinking, our communication, or our diet, or our lifestyle, or our routine, or our habits, or how we communicate, or our social media, or our immediate environment, or our health, or our job in many ways. And now this is the third time Mercury is doing this, squaring Pluto, and the third time is the most helpful. So this is a moment here, starting Tuesday, coming into Wednesday for certain. So say by Wednesday, be safe and say by Wednesday, that process of transformation, all these things that I just mentioned, Mercury related things, will complete itself. And this was not an easy transformation. It was in a square to Pluto, right? It was in a square to Pluto. It was because there was a conflict, and we transformed because we needed to resolve this conflict of sorts when it came to our thinking, communication, lifestyle, health, job. So, it wasn't an easy transformation. It didn't just happen. We needed to work to make it happen. And we did that. And now we're reaching that point where all the work we did back and forth, does it work, does it not work, what changes do I make, okay, I need to review this one more time, this is not working, let me try something new. When it comes to all Mercury things that I just mentioned, is completing itself. And when it went retrograde, it trined Jupiter, which meant that there was a blessing involved. We did all this hard work of transforming and changing up things and all that stuff. But the silver lining was that there was a blessing, a reward, a healing, or a lesson at the end of it. So we are approaching that moment here where the process is going to complete itself, and we'll probably be able to look back and say, this is what my transformation was starting 27th, connected to my thinking, communication, diet, health, lifestyle, routine, job, immediate environment, peer groups, siblings, social media, and now it's complete. So by Wednesday, whatever we started on September 27th, whatever work we started has completed itself. And one more thing, that Mercury went retrograde 7 days after the full moon in Pisces, which happened on September 20th, which was all about releasing the past that has been with us for many, 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 many years, right? So that with the full moon in Aries, we could fully step into the new energy that entered into our lives in April. But what I'm trying to say is that this transformation of Mercury, right? And it could have also been a transformation to how we do relationships, because it happened in Libra, the sign of relationships. This transformation that we've just went through, and we will see with clarity what that transformation is by Wednesday, is something connected to the past in many ways. It's the closing out of the past. What I'm trying to say is, since the full moon in Pisces was closing out the past of decades, Mercury retrograde happening 7 days after that just meant that whatever transformation we've made, we've let go. Pluto is also letting go. We've let go of things, routines, habits, all that Mercury stuff that's been with us for many, many years, because it was about endings, right? The full moon in Pisces. And the clarity will come by Wednesday as to how your life is transformed, if it has transformed, whether your communication is transformed, or thinking, or maybe some change in your routine, or maybe your environment. And this could have been something rooted in the past, the distant past, many years, not the recent, not months or something. So that's Tuesday. And in the morning itself at 7 a.m. or so, actually, yeah, at about 8 a.m. actually, the moon is opposing Chiron. Now, this is not easy, right? This is not easy. So, Tuesday through the night, starting 3 a.m., 4 a.m., through the night till 7 a.m., it's a very intense time. And this aspect here with the moon opposing Chiron can really bring us emotionally face to face with our pain again. And we go through this once a month, right? The opposition to Chiron. And now again, we are asked to look at our wounds. And what this energy is saying is, look at your wounds, but don't let them control you. Heal from them, recover from them. And this is the same spot around 9-10 degrees of Libra, where Mercury spent a lot of time. It was at this spot, 10-11 degrees of Libra during its retrograde, where it spent many days. So we've seen this energy before, right? We've worked on it. We've worked on these wounds, and these were the wounds that could have prevented us from moving forward, taking action with the full moon in Aries. And we're still in that energy that happened on October 20th. These were certain wounds that could have prevented us from taking that action. And now our emotions are covering that area. Our logical mind, Mercury, did the work, right? Like I said, Mercury was at this spot 10-11 degrees of Libra for a long time, and Mercury is our logical mind. Logically, mentally, we did all the work. We did all the emotional work with our mind to face that pain, to heal our wounds, to recover. But now is the turn for our emotions to go through the same thing. And this is the final moment here, right? Now emotionally we are going through that, going through that pain again, undergoing it all over again. And this time the resolution needs to be at an emotional level. Last time it was more logical. Yeah, I have these wounds, I must not let them get in the way. Logic. Now it's hard. I have these wounds and I feel like I need to move on from them. Enough is enough. I feel like I need to move on from them. And speaking of Mercury retrograde, a lot of the Mercury retrograde work was done at this spot, about 10-11 degrees of Libra. So now is the last moment where we're reviewing whatever work we've done and pacing that from an emotional level, changing it up emotionally, connecting the mental change with our emotional change, making them in sync. So this can feel challenging. Tuesday is a day that can feel very intense. But it is also a day where we understand in many ways whatever changed for us, whatever we transformed since September 27th, connected to Mercury. So that's Tuesday. So Tuesday, a lot of the intensity is happening at night Pacific time, right? And as you wake up, if you're an early riser, as you wake up 6, 7 in the morning, the feeling cannot be good. And I've noticed this in myself. When there's a stressful aspect and I'm sleeping, usually I don't have the best dreams, because we also release things when we are sleeping in our subconscious mind. Just thought I'd mention that. So that's Tuesday. And moving on to Wednesday, let's move up the chart and then we'll see. Give me a moment here. All right, moving on to Wednesday. Now you can see Mercury has hit 26 degrees. It's out of its retrograde zone. We've done the work, it's complete, we've reviewed it many times. Mercury is ready to move on. It's done thinking about relationships, it's done transforming thinking, communication, lifestyle, health, habit, job, all those things. It's saying, I'm ready to enter Scorpio, as it will on Friday. So that's the first thing. Now, and it's another thing. It's not surprising that today is the day that Mercury hits 26 degrees. It's out of its area that it's covered multiple times, right? Because we have a new moon tomorrow. Forward movement. Mercury is the planet of our day-to-day. Our day-to-day is Virgo. Our health is Virgo. Our job is Virgo. Virgo is important. And who rules Virgo? Mercury. So when Mercury is not doing well, it's retrograding, our day-to-day gets affected. And when it's covering the zone, the degrees it's covered many times, you're still working on something, right? We work on it, then we work on it again, and then we work on it a third time. But now it's moved out of that zone, new territory. And this happens at a time where we have the new moon in Scorpio with 4 planets direct that were not direct last month with the new moon in Libra. Anyway, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Now, what's happening today at about 8 a.m. Pacific time, sorry about that, more like 9 a.m. Pacific time, is that the moon here is in a square with Pluto. Now, again, this is a point that Mercury has already gone through, right? It's gone through this. Mercury square Pluto, it went through this Tuesday night, and now our emotions are following suit. This is another moment of transformation to our emotions, and this time it's a little stressful. So this is what is happening, a transformation, a purification of our emotions that might feel stressful. And moving on to about noon Pacific time, we have Mercury and the moon conjuncting. Now this is a point, I believe, noon Pacific time, where our heart and our emotions, the moon, falls in sync, catches up to Mercury, our logical mind. Mercury has gone through these degrees before the moon, right? It's gone through it before in a way. It opposed Chiron for a long time. It trined Jupiter, it squared Pluto, and now what did the moon do? The moon did the same thing. It opposed Chiron. It trined Jupiter, that I did not mention, but it also squared Pluto, right? It's following the mind. Our emotions are following the logical mind. And this moment here at 26 degrees, our heart and our mind start to come together and say, okay, the retrograde stuff is done. Whatever I started working on from September 27th, which had a very powerful undertone of closing out the past of many decades, is finally complete. And speaking of the moon trining Jupiter, just let's look at that. I somehow missed out on that. Okay, so this is happening at 6 a.m. So the moon trines Jupiter before it squares Pluto. And again, this energy is the same as what Mercury went through, transforming our emotions, which can lead to a silver lining, a blessing of sorts. Now moving on to about 4 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday, right? We have a positive aspect. The moon here is sextiling Venus. And if you see, this is an important thing. Mercury is at 26, Mars is at 2, and the moon is at the midpoint of these two. And now it is sextiling Venus, making a positive aspect. So this is definitely a moment where we can begin to feel positive about the relationships in our lives, or the projects we're working on, or just our unique self, our authentic self, or just our self-worth and values, right? Because Venus is also our self-worth. So now we're feeling good about that, and this energy is in a way supercharged because it is between our mind, Mercury, and between our drive. So our emotions, it's not just our emotions, it's also our mind, it's also our drive and our emotions that are connecting with Venus. Positive. This is a positive moment. 4 p.m. Pacific time. And soon after this, at 7 p.m., the moon enters Scorpio, where we will have the new moon. Now moon has entered Scorpio. So that's what happens at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And by 11 o'clock, 11 p.m., the moon conjuncts Mars. Now this could be a moment where we begin to feel a little bit of anger and frustration, or it could be a moment where we can really find that drive and courage from an emotional level, at an emotional level. But I'm going to move to Thursday, and then we'll talk about the moon in Scorpio energy, right? So let's move to Thursday. And I'm going to pull up the new moon chart. I will break down the new moon energy in the new moon video in detail, but I do want to talk about it in this video as well, because this is an important new moon. So here, that's the new moon at 12 degrees, and it's in an almost exact opposition to Uranus, and it is in a square to Saturn, right? And let's not forget, Mars is also feeling the Saturn square. And now let's talk about Scorpio. Now Scorpio is, first, a new moon is a point where we seed something. It's a point of new beginnings, or something that we plant, that we work on for the next 20-30 days. And it's happening in the sign of Scorpio. What is Scorpio? Scorpio is the sign of transformation, of renewal, of regeneration, purification. And so in many ways, this new moon has that energy of transformation and change and renewal. So this new moon is in many ways about transformation and change. And this is happening at a point where 4 planets are direct, which means this is the new moon since, I believe, April, right? Because it's been since April that we've had a lot of planets go retrograde, that we'll see some forward movement with 4 planets direct that were not direct last month with the new moon in Libra. So this is a point where we can really see change, and This change can come about suddenly and unexpectedly with the opposition to Uranus. Uranus is sudden, it's unexpected, and it's making almost an exact opposition to the new moon. This can be a sudden change that comes out of nowhere. And with the square to Saturn, this can come about after a decision, this can come about after making a commitment to something, and a square to Saturn doesn't always feel easy. So this is that moment here, and all year Saturn and Uranus have been squaring, right? We're seeing the Saturn-Uranus square after 21 years, and now the moon, the new moon, is involved with this energy. So the whole year we've been working on getting rid of the old, transforming, embracing the new, embracing our true authentic self, and we will continue to do so till next year. But this is the moon that I feel will really help us get there and do that work, because it is involved with both Saturn and Uranus, right? So this moon can bring about sudden, unexpected changes, transformations that can come about after a decision or commitment of sorts. And it can be a very intense new moon because the aspects are not easy aspects. And that's the basic energy of this new moon. And my Venus is at 12 degrees of Scorpio. I just thought I'd tell you guys. Anyway, another thing that I want to mention about this new moon, and I think it is relevant, is that in Vedic astrology, this is going to be a new moon in Libra. And this is going to be the festival of Diwali. Now, Diwali is the festival that signifies the victory of good over evil and the victory of knowledge over ignorance, right? And it is considered to be the most auspicious night of the year. So there is that energy as well. And it's in Vedic, we have Diwali, this new moon, on a day when the moon is in the nakshatra of Swati, okay, in the sign of Libra. And that is where the sun is extremely debilitated. And what I'm trying to say is that it's at that point when the sun is debilitated, and it's also considered to be the darkest night of the year, that it's considered to be most auspicious. And why is that? What is dark? Dark is ignorance, right? And what is light? Light is information, light is knowledge. So Scorpio also, if you think about it and connect the dots, it's not very different. Scorpio is the dark before the hope, right? It's where we dig deep, find the truth. It's the Scorpions. Scorpions are solitary. Scorpions bury themselves in a hole and spend their time alone. Scorpions, right? Not Scorpios, Scorpions, the symbol for Scorpio. And that's what being in darkness is. But Scorpio is also represented by the phoenix, and the phoenix is a representation of something that has been able to overcome the dark and rise above, right? It's a symbol of freedom and looking at everything from a higher perspective. So that's Scorpio as well. So what I'm trying to say is that even in Vedic, where there's this new moon in Libra in the nakshatra of Swati, where the sun is completely debilitated, it's the darkest spot in many ways, but it is still the most auspicious night of the year, because when we can face that dark, we transform from a scorpion into a phoenix. It's the rising of the phoenix, so to speak. And similarly, in Vedic, this is the victory of knowledge over ignorance, of light over dark, right? And I think although this new moon can be said to be stressful, I think just because it falls on this day, which is considered to be the most auspicious night of the year in the Vedic calendar, I feel that this is an intensity that will bring about a lot of positivity, right? Because it's that point of facing the dark to step into the light. It's that point of getting rid of ignorance to stepping into knowledge. And Scorpio is also a symbol of that, right? It's transformation. What sort of transformation? Transformation from the dark into the light, from a scorpion to a phoenix that rises. And Scorpio is also about renewal, right? It's about regeneration. And with the Vedic calendar, the Diwali is also considered to be a regeneration in a very spiritual sense, a renewal of the spiritual self in many ways. So there's that as well, you know. So I just thought it's interesting to see how these two new moons in two different signs, which are considered very different, Libra in Vedic and Scorpio in Western astrology, in many ways are saying the same thing, right? The sign of Scorpio is transformation. It's where it's the darkest before we come into Sag, hope and light. But it's also a point, it's also a moment where we can really face that dark, overcome it, to really rise above it and transform from a scorpion into a phoenix. And the same goes for the Vedic significance, right? Victory of light over dark, victory of knowledge over ignorance, and good over evil. And it's at a point where the sun is completely debilitated, because sometimes when we cannot fall any further, there is no option but to rise. And I think that's that energy. So to sum it up, this is an intense new moon. It will bring about a lot of transformation, a lot of change. And Scorpio is also a very karmic sign. So this could be a lot of karma as well. And it can feel intense with the aspects this moon is making. But since in Vedic it is considered to be the most auspicious night of the year, there's a reason for that. So through the intensity, there is a blessing. There's something positive. And I'll talk more about this in the new moon video. I just wanted to give you a brief heads up. And moving on to Friday, we have Venus changing signs. Now this is 4 a.m. Pacific time, right? Venus here has changed signs. It's entered the sign of Capricorn, and it is in Capricorn that Venus is going to retrograde by the end of the year. By November 17th or 18th, it's going to enter that area where it will retrograde between 11 and 26 degrees of Capricorn. So if you have planets there, if you're a Capricorn and you have planets between those degrees, you'll feel this more intensely. And Venus retrogrades once in about 18 months. So that's something to be mindful of. And Venus retrogrades in the same sign after 8 years. So the last time Venus retrograded in Capricorn was between 2013 December and 2014 Jan. And usually when it retrogrades in the same sign, it's almost in the same degrees as well. It brings up things from back then as a closure or to work on, something like that. So think about your life between 2013 December and 2014 Jan. This is probably the retrograde that will close those things out for good if they're still lingering on in some ways. And Venus in Capricorn is an energy that is very different from Venus in Sag. Venus in Sag is going on an adventure when it comes to our relationships and projects, right? But Venus in Capricorn is different. It's about committing to our relationships and projects. So this is what Venus in Capricorn energy is all about, committing to these projects. And by the evening, Mercury is also going to change signs. So let's see that. And this is like 5 p.m. Pacific time. Mercury here has changed signs. It entered the sign of Scorpio, finally left the sign of Libra, where it retrograded and where we've done so much of work for since September 27th at least. And now Mercury in Scorpio is a very different energy. Mercury in Scorpio is about finding the truth, digging deep, right? Scorpio. And with Venus in Capricorn at the same time, right? This is probably an energy where we find out the truth about our relationship and projects and decide whether we want to commit to them or not. That's a shift we will see. And on the same day, at the same time, the moon changes signs. It's out of Scorpio now and it's in the sign of Sag. Now, this is an easier energy. Scorpio, although, is an energy that can really give us that spiritual transformation from being a scorpion into an eagle or a phoenix, so to speak. But the process is never easy, right? But Sag is different. Sag is where we've done the work. We've faced the dark, we've transformed, and now we can see the light, Sagittarius. Now we have the hope, Sagittarius. So, this moment here, 6 p.m., there's a shift. We can feel hopeful again, we can feel optimistic again, joyous again, but the South Node is in Sagittarius. And the moon moves on and conjuncts the South Node soon after it enters the sign of Sagittarius. So with the South Node in Sagittarius, the moon's transit through Sagittarius can be marked with a feeling of revisiting the past, a feeling of feeling drained, a feeling of karmic things taking place. And we had the new moon in Scorpio yesterday, and on Friday, the energy just changes, right? The energy just changes. Venus enters Capricorn, serious commitment. Mercury enters Scorpio, finding the truth. And the moon enters Sag, meets up the North Node, a South Node, karmic stuff, revisiting the past, feeling drained. So we go through a lot of shifts starting on Thursday, and Friday is a day where we will really begin to see the energy change. And coming into Saturday, we have the moon at 7 degrees of Sag, sextile Saturn. 5 a.m. Pacific time, Saturday morning, the moon is sextiling Saturn. Now, this could be a decision we make, a commitment we make emotionally. And it could very well be because we've gone through so much since Thursday. The new moon in Scorpio triggered change, triggered transformation, right? And on Wednesday and on Friday, the energy completely shifted. And now maybe we are saying, okay, some sort of emotional decision is coming about, some sort of commitment is coming about, some sort of definition to our emotion is coming about because of what we've gone through. And this is interesting. By 8 a.m. Pacific time, see this, 8 a.m. Pacific time, we have Mercury and Venus both in a quincunx with the North Node, right? And we have just gone through the moon sextile Saturn. And a quincunx requires us to change certain things, but it's an energy that just feels strange. It feels like things are not compatible. That's a quincunx. So things are not feeling compatible, and what it's asking us to do is make those things compatible. So now what's happening is Venus, our relationships and projects, and how we feel about ourselves needs to be aligned with our goals. And at the same time, so does our thinking and our communication and our immediate environment and our job and health and routine need to be aligned with our goals. So a lot of realignment so that things start to feel compatible towards our goals. And it's not surprising because the new moon is about transformation. And now at this moment here, 8 a.m. Saturday morning, it's saying things are not compatible anymore. Make certain changes so that things become compatible again. And soon after this, at 9 a.m., we have the moon trining Chiron, a healing that we go through while we are working on trying to make our relationships, projects, and our day-to-day life and our routines compatible with our goals. There's a feeling of feeling some sort of healing. And after that healing, the moon does move on, and quincunx is Uranus, right? As Venus and Mercury are still in a quincunx with the North Node. As we are working on transforming our relationships and projects and our day-to-day and communication and our health, our emotions are also being are being asked to undergo a change with the quincunx Uranus. So Saturday is a day, to sum it up, I would say that Thursday we go through that new moon which has set the energy for the next 2 weeks about transformation, about change, which is a forward moving change because 4 planets are direct. And although the chart is very intense, opposition to Uranus, square to Saturn, it is the energy that says going from the dark into the light, going from ignorance into knowledge, and going from being a scorpion into a rising phoenix, right? And Friday, the energy shifts and we see a certain sort of transformation in the energy. And Saturday, we are asked to change things, make things compatible for them to work. And this is incorporating pretty much all things, right? It's incorporating Venus, love, relationships, how we feel about ourselves, Mercury, our communication, thinking, mind, day-to-day social media. And if you see, Mars is also involved. It's a 3-degree orb, but it is still in a quincunx with the North Node. And Uranus does quincunx our emotions. And Mars is our drive. So everything is needing a reset, a realignment of sorts. And it's a process, right? Because it's this energy, new moon energy, will be with us for 2 weeks. Then moving on to Sunday. Sunday, 2 a.m. Pacific time. We have the moon here, square Neptune. Now this can be a moment of feeling low, feeling a little depressed, feeling a little confused. And again, this is because our emotions are in conflict with our spirituality in some ways. Neptune is our spirituality, it's the higher rung. They're in a conflict. So we need to adjust something so that our emotions can stop being in a conflict with the spiritual world, with spirituality. And this can feel confusing. And if you're feeling confusing and a little low or overly sensitive, it's because of this. So let this energy pass. Anyway, it's happening at night. So now moving on to Sunday evening. Now this is where we begin to see a shift again, right? The moon changes signs on Sunday evening, 6 p.m. It's entered the sign of Capricorn. Now this is where we begin the work. Capricorn is the sign of business. It's the sign of working hard and discipline. It's a Saturn ruled sign. So it's about working hard. It's about being disciplined. And when the moon enters Capricorn, we get back to work. We start the work again. And then it is going to conjunct Venus by 10 p.m. And conjuncting Venus means that emotionally we meet up with our projects and relationships. So it's probably a moment where we view our relationships and projects and in some ways work on our emotions to make them work together in some ways. So that's the energy. But starting Sunday evening, it's about working. It's about getting things done. It's about reaching the top. And that's how we end the week, with the moon entering the sign of Capricorn. So to sum it up, I would say this is one of the most intense weeks I have seen so far. And it's a week where all the work that we started to do with Mercury retrograde that began on September 27th will come to light by Wednesday, will reveal itself by Wednesday. We'll find some clarity on what the work we did was, which had powerful undertones that suggested that it was a lot of work that was about releasing past things connected to Mercury habits, diet, lifestyle, job, all these things. So by Wednesday, we'll gain that clarity. And Thursday is a very powerful new moon in Scorpio with 4 planets direct, which wasn't the case last month. And this is a new moon in Scorpio, a sign about transformation and renewal and regeneration. And this is a new moon that is opposing Uranus and squaring Saturn. Sudden unexpected change, sudden unexpected transformation that can come about by a commitment or a decision. And this is also in Vedic, the new moon in Libra, in the nakshatra of Swati, which is the festival of Diwali, of dark being defeated by the light, of knowledge overcoming ignorance, of good overcoming evil, which is also Scorpio. Scorpio is all about transforming from a scorpion, the lower vibration of Scorpio, into a rising phoenix, the higher vibration of Scorpio. So in many ways, this is the point where we can really transform our lives or just ourselves. And Scorpio is also a very karmic sign, so there could be a lot of karmic stuff connected with this new moon. This new moon energy will stay with us for 2 more weeks till the eclipse on November 19th. And Scorpio is a karmic sign and eclipses are karmic, so you can see a lot of what's going to happen starting with this new moon in Scorpio, which is a powerful moon about transformation and change and moving forward with our lives. Is karmic as well, because eclipse season is coming up November 19th to December 4th, and that's karmic. So starting this new moon, we're in a karmic zone, I would say, more so once the eclipse happens on November 19th, but definitely even with this new moon, because Scorpio is a karmic sign. And on Friday, we see a shift in energy as soon as we begin to transform with the new moon on Thursday. On Friday, Venus and Mercury both change signs. Venus enters Capricorn, where we are asked to be serious and commit to our relationships and projects. And Mercury leaves Libra after a long time in Libra and enters Scorpio, where we will search for the truth. And I feel that the truth we are searching for will be very much connected to the relationships and projects in our life. And through that truth coming about, we will be able to commit to Venus, our relationships, projects, or just how we feel about ourselves. Because up until now, I feel the energy was in many ways non-committal, right? It was playful, it was about going on an adventure. But now is the time where I think things are getting serious, because retrogrades are also a time where we are reviewing things. Last new moon in Libra, October 6th, was review. So there was flexibility, I would say, in some ways. Libra is also a sign where we figure things out. Pros, cons, do I want this, do I want that? Scorpio is not like that. Scorpio is commitment. Scorpio is all or nothing. And now we've reached a point where the planets are direct. There's no more review. Certain planets are still under review, they're retrograde, but a lot of the planets, at least Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, and Mercury, right, are direct. So there's no review now. It's asking us to commit. And I feel we will be in this energy of figuring out what we are committing to for a while, because Venus is going to retrograde in Capricorn in December, where it retrograded last 2013 December, 2014 Jan. And those themes might come back up for you to close out, or that cycle that started for you back then, 2013 December 2014, will finally, you'll close it out and release it completely. So Friday is that energy where both Venus and Mercury change signs, leaving us, and the energy of balance and weighing things out, Mercury in Libra, and going on an adventure with our relationships and trying out new things in our projects and relationships is done. It's done, right? Venus has left Sag, Mercury has left Libra. Now it's serious commitment time. Capricorn and Scorpio don't play around. They want commitment. They want everything. So that's what we are stepping into after this new moon. And Saturday is a day where we'll probably be implementing those changes in a way. We'll continue to do so for 2 weeks, but that's the day with with so many quincunxes, and the quincunxes aspecting. The North Node is quincunxing Mercury and Venus at the same time. Uranus is going to quincunx the Moon at the same time, and Mars is also feeling the quincunx of the North Node. It's about change, it's about realignment, right? Because a quincunx feels incompatible. It's 150 degrees. Somehow it does not feel comparable. So we'll be changing things up on Saturday to make to incorporate the new moon in Scorpio a bit more. And then on Sunday, by the evening, we can have moments of feeling low and confused on Sunday afternoon, but by Sunday evening, it's time to get to work. The moon enters Capricorn. Back to work, back to working hard, back to being disciplined. So that's a lot this week, and I hope you guys have a great week, and I will see you in one of my other videos. I will put out the new moon in Scorpio video very soon, and I will also speak about the new moon in Scorpio for each zodiac sign and where it falls in your chart. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I will pick a card. It says reflection, healing, transformation. I think I've mentioned the word transformation at least 50 times in this video. And this card is saying that it's a healing transformation, because although the new moon in Scorpio is opposing Uranus squaring Saturn, very stressful aspects, right? It's not an easy aspect. Looking at the Vedic astrology, I know this is not Vedic, this is Western, but we all go through the same energies, right? It's just which technique we use to get there. And looking at the Vedic astrology, it's the new moon in Libra, in the nakshatra of Swati, and that is the festival of Diwali, where good beats evil, where knowledge overcomes ignorance, and where we can really undergo a spiritual transformation. And in Western, the analogy would be the same. Scorpio is the sign where we can face the dark and transform and begin to move towards the light. From the Scorpion, we can become a rising phoenix, and that's what this is. This is a healing transformation. It may feel intense, it may not even, because we are so used to the Saturn square Uranus energy. The whole year it's been going on, the whole year. Feb, June, it peaked. December, it will peak. We are used to living with this intensity. Yes, it will peak more on this day, but we're used to that intensity in many ways. So remember, it's healing transformation. Sometimes both healing and transformation are stressful, right? Because sometimes when we go to the doctor, and we say you went for a run, you tripped and you injured your knee, and then you go to the doctor and he says, okay, let me take a look at this, and then he puts spirit, and then he puts some medicines, and if there's some splinters or something in there, then he pull them out. That's stressful, that's painful, but he's healing you, right? That's a healing also. And transformation is not easy either. A lot of the times transformation is forced. It's forced because we are because either we are not compatible to our surroundings anymore, or our surroundings are not compatible to us anymore. We've grown, something's changed, and that can lead to transformation or a stressful event. So both these things come with stress. And look at the number 26. 2 plus 6, 8. 8 is Scorpio. I think this card sums it up really, really well. So I hope you guys have a good week and a good new moon, and I'll see you in one of my other videos.